welcome to the Sigma Show, episode 72. I'm your host, Sigma. Before I let you know who's joining me today, real quick, we'll go over what our topics for the show will be. We've got a lot this week. Lots of news is finally starting to pour out, like the floodgates are open. We're getting information, guys. I love it.
He loves it.
First up, we got a God of War Ragnarok release date. November 9th. We'll talk about expectations, I guess. Also some strategy as to like why this date was chosen in particular. We'll also talk about the fact that Respawn is apparently working on a new first-person shooter in the Apex Legends universe, which we all know takes place in the Titanfall universe, which is their kind of single-player campaign-related thing. But I don't know. This seems like a very interesting workaround to kind of get back to the Titanfall universe, but we'll talk more about that. We finally got to see the re-reveal of Skull and Bones, the Ubisoft pirate game that kind of had a shaky reveal a while ago, and just we hadn't heard anything about it since. Now we have some gameplay and some scope. And finally, the ESA has announced that E3 will be making a return in 2023 as an in-person show as well as an online experience. And what we can maybe extrapolate from what their plans are going to be for kind of game showcases in the future. And here to talk to me about these topics today, Ash Redux.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ash Redux back. Maybe again, because he keeps going on and off from streaming. Who knows? But I'm happy to be here is the point.
Happy to have you. Superman Jeff.
Yep.
Jeff, always a pleasure as usual. And the Fat Stacks.
What's going on, y'all? What's happening?
Nice. Glad to have all you guys here today. Let's jump right into what we've been playing. I know we have a lot of topics. But honestly, I'm curious. It feels a lot longer than it has been because we had like a holiday weekend, I think. So it feels like we've been gone for like 2-3 weeks. But no, we actually did a show last week.
Yeah.
But either way, we want to know what you guys have been up to. Anyone want to jump in? I personally don't have a ton.
I mean, I can go first. I don't have much.
Yeah, go right ahead.
A lot of Destiny, you know. So I was farming, there's a new dungeon that came out this past season called a Duality Dungeon. And I was farming that like nobody's business. I think I did it maybe at least like 50 times. Finally got
What are you looking for in the dungeon that you do 50 times?
So there were two things I was looking for. A very specific role on a pulse rifle. It comes with a perk called Desperado. And the other perk is Steady Hand. So Steady Hand is the more kills you get. I mean, when you get a kill, it improves your accuracy and stability. And the Desperado is when you get a kill after reloading, you get increased fire rate. So, and on a three burst pulse rifle, that's very significant. So you usually get three burst shots out in the time that it would take you to get one burst out. So you're just taking people down.
Oh dang!
A lot.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much a kill.
Yeah.
A pull of the trigger in that case.
So and then put it on the full auto mod on it to make it full auto, so I don't have to readjust my aim. Because I feel like every time I take my finger and press down the trigger again, it slightly sets off your aim. So being able to just hold down the trigger and fire and just keep focusing on that head, it just so good. And then the other one is there's an exotic sword that drops from it I have yet to get. So that hasn't dropped yet. So I'll be still farming that. I actually did the first encounter of the dungeon with Ox King and Ricky from the Destiny clan from the open party Discord. So we did that first encounter.
They're big into Destiny.
Yeah, so that was pretty smooth. So did some clan stuff with them. And then still farming the Vault of Glass for Atheon to hopefully get the Mytho class. So that's a once a week thing. Because I don't do it on all three of my characters because I don't have that much time. So I do it on the one character and then move on.
Right.
So
because that is a strategy, I guess, right? Is to
because
you can get the same rewards on your different class characters.
Right. So it's a chance for the exotic to drop on those other two characters. So, but once again, I don't have that amount of time, so I do it on the one and then move on. So a lot of times I'll be like watching TV or something, and I'll pull up the app for like people who are looking for a group to do it. And if I see they're doing a dungeon, I'll pop in, do the dungeon, pop back off, go do what I got to do, and then come back or whatever. Aside from Destiny, The Boys, last 2 episodes of The Boys was pretty good.
Yeah, I just finished that too.
Yeah. I thought I had a very satisfying 2 episodes. Spoiler free, nothing. We actually talked about Soldier Boy from the previous episodes on the last episode of the Omniverse comic discussion this past week. Sigma joined us. So we talked about that. That was a good discussion. Finished Stranger Things 2.
Yeah, also finished
Not
that.
2, but season 4.
Season
I don't know why I
4,
said
part
2.
2.
Yeah.
No, because it was like the
Right.
second part of the 4th season, but it was only like 2 episodes, but like 2 long ass episodes.
Yeah, like 2 hours a piece or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I thought that was very satisfying. I like the second half. It had a strong finish. First half wasn't bad, but I feel like it had a strong finish.
Agreed. I agree with that sentiment.
And I did see that
Like a lot of the slowdown in the first half that I specifically called out, like with all of Elle's like backstory stuff. They were kind of done with that by those last 2 episodes, so like she got to be part of the story again, and yeah, that's definitely an improvement in what they were doing.
Because like all these pieces were in different spots, and then when they were coming together, then when they finally came together, then it was just like, just went straight ahead. So I mean, it was good. I was satisfied with it. Then I saw they were talking about a spinoff, so that'll be pretty cool, I guess.
Are you excited for the idea of a Stranger Things spinoff?
I don't want it to deal with Hawkins. I don't want it to deal with maybe any of the other characters. I don't want them to do the part where they have kids in the future. Well, I guess I wouldn't be that far off to where they could have kids, right? So, but
I mean,
it'd be here in a couple years, 2-3 years. They're not gonna be that old to where they could. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's still a 5th season coming.
Oh, that's
so
true.
like, do we have any idea what the spinoff is supposed to focus on? Because I've heard rumors about them wanting to do like a second show as well, but like
I didn't see any rumors about what though. It just said spinoff, and that they would be attached to it.
Because I want to say I saw something about I want to say I saw David Harbour say something about having some actor play him as a kid, like that's what he would want in a spinoff. But I don't know if that was him just saying like, oh, I like this actor and I think he'd be a good he reminds me of a young me, or if they're saying like this is like a Hopper related spinoff or whatever.
I don't know how
of his past, and it's like, yeah, I don't know, like what's the story there?
Because it's all supernatural stuff. Like he didn't do any supernatural stuff as a kid. That stuff didn't happen until stuff with Elle. So I don't see how it would have to be either from Elle adjacent, like something around the same time but adjacent to her, or later on.
Like just something in the far future, right? Like after they resolve whatever's going on in this situation, something comes back to get them, or
If it was before then, it wouldn't be able to deal with any of the main cast. It could be something supernatural, but it wouldn't involve anybody from the main cast, because a lot of this stuff is stuff they're just now come across. It would create like an issue if all of a sudden, oh yeah, they dealt with this before and it just never mentioned it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, like the only threads in the past have to do with Elle's secret lab and all those experiments and whatever, and I definitely don't want a show that is all about that, because that is the worst part of Stranger Things. In all honesty, like, please don't do that to yourselves.
Aside from that, honestly, I don't think I've played another game or watched anything. Oh, Kamala Khan this week was pretty. I mean, Kamala Khan. Miss Marvel was pretty good this week. I enjoyed that. The last episode is going to be this week, so definitely looking forward to that and how that's going to finish up. And that's all I got.
Cool.
Can I ask a quick question?
Okay,
Oh, sorry. I was gonna ask, is that so? Me and my wife, we watched the first episode of Miss Marvel. You used to say like is this supposed to just be like a quick mini series and like be done quickly type of deal for Miss Marvel?
Yeah, it's only six episodes, I believe. I think 6 episodes.
Oh, so it's not supposed to be like more seasons or anything. It's just like this is.
We don't know yet. So this is kind of what they do with some of these shows is they'll introduce them in the Disney Plus series, and then they'll be like in a movie or something like that. I'm guessing They haven't announced whether it's going to be another series, but she will show up later in the future because she might be uh kind of closely tied to like Spider-Man, like some of the younger heroes might
Yeah.
form like the young Avengers and stuff like that. But did you what did you think about the first episode? Because
Huh?
I know of your background, and I
Oh,
love what this show did and touched on a lot of that stuff, especially later on. So I was just
mhm.
interested to see what your thoughts were.
Yeah. Well, since I'm going now, if that's cool, I'll just start.
No, go, yeah, go right ahead.
Been watching. Me and my wife, we watched the first episode of Miss Marvel. That was like earlier this week. I convinced her to watch it because at first she was like, I don't know. I was like, I promise you. Just from the trailer. I was like, this is like it would just be a fun time just from me watching the trailer. Like this would be a good time. And I always liked the character for Miss Marvel anyway. So I was like, just watch it with me. As soon as we start watching it, my wife instantly related to her when she was younger anyway. So I was like, see, I told you like it. But so I thoroughly enjoyed how much they didn't shy away from cultural aspects for either side of for her. So she's excuse me, multiracial. So they went into both. They didn't just like steer with one or stay away from another one because it might be a little bit touchy for some people if they're whatever. But they went into both. I was just in there listening to the very few Arabic words that I know pop up, and I was like, I know what they said. Even if they didn't put the subtitle, I knew what they said. But yeah, no, it was a good time. I thoroughly enjoyed the what was it? That my favorite moment was when. Well, I don't want to. I mean, it's the first episode. How many episodes are out by now?
Right now,
Four,
six,
five?
seven, six.
Okay, I don't feel too bad then. First episode, my favorite part of the first episode was when the popular girl got her just desserts, kind of, and I'll say that so it's not too spoiler. I just thought that was hilarious. For sure, I thought, oh, she's gonna use her power now, and she's gonna get her out the way or stop it from happening. No, she got smacked, and it was hilarious. And I thought that was hilarious. But excuse me, I actually don't know much when it comes to Miss Marvel, like too deep into her. Like other characters, just her character. So the boy that does like the inventions and stuff, is he in the comics or is he just here in the show?
Yeah, he's in the comics too. Yeah,
He's in the comics. Is he like? Is he like? For comparison, is he like become somewhat like how Gear became for Static eventually, or does he stay kind of where
similar
he
in
is now, just making?
some aspects. Their relationship is a little bit different in the comics. He's not really her best friend. He's more of someone who becomes like a love interest.
Makes sense.
The sort of dynamic in the show is new, which I enjoy better.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, so
Yeah, stop making all these teenagers fall
Right.
in love with each other. Like, just cool out a little bit.
But yeah, so I really really enjoyed it, and we were planning on binging it last night, but she fell asleep before we could start. It's not like the kids to go to sleep, which
Right.
normally I do. So when the time I got to the bedroom, she was already knocked out, and I was like, and I can't watch it without her; she'll be mad. So
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
because I was definitely about to watch all the episodes last night. Otherwise, though, playing. I've been trying to play anything so I could create some content, but recently got Kiba to start playing the sequel to Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World, just because Tales of series is one of my most beloved series in video games. So when I got him to play Tales of Symphonia, I was like, okay, now you got to play the sequel so that you can.
I didn't know they made a direct sequel to Tales of Symphonia.
Technically,
Like Symphonia was I remember that had a GameCube port, right? Like, and it had like
Yeah.
the voice actor who does Robin.
yeah, for Lloyd.
Play
Mhm.
Lloyd. Yeah.
And I didn't realize that when I was younger, which made me more upset when I finally replayed it, like maybe 4 years back. And I'm like, Robin?
No, yeah, like it's super. As soon as he opened his mouth in that first cutscene, I was like, "That's Robin."
But it's funny because I mean, don't get me wrong, Robin is different from Lloyd, obviously. Like, one is more of a strategist, because of Batman, obviously. But when it comes down to, like, their motivation to protect the people that they love, his voice still fits really well for Lloyd for me. So that's why I was like, okay, it's cool. But so like I'm gonna start playing that. So we're gonna be playing that and streaming that hopefully at least once a week as long as our schedules line up. But what I did want to touch on, the two things that I really enjoyed watching this past week were both fan project related. And I was actually surprised by both. One being a short, I don't know if you classify as a short film. I don't know what the requirements to be called a short film is. It's like maybe 11, 12 minutes long.
I mean, yeah, that's short.
I mean, it's short, but I'm like, if I make something that's 2 minutes long, is it a short film or is it just like...
Yeah, like is it telling a story from beginning to end?
That's fair. Okay.
Then that's a short film.
That's fair. Well, so it's a short film called Legend: A Dragon Ball Tale, and it's made by I forget his name. It's by a studio. I think it's called Studio Stray Dog, and like the lead director is Nasir. And it was I really enjoyed it, and I'm the type of person who's like, I enjoy Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z for a nostalgia factor. I watched GT when I was younger, but I didn't keep going as they made like. Except for like the last like Broly movie that they made, I watched that one. But I
think I'm in the same boat as you.
And
like, because you've not been watching like Super.
Yeah, I haven't been watching Super. I wanted to skip all the way up to the little, Power to Universe arc that they're having or whatever, just so I could see Ultra Instinct Goku naturally happen. But I was like, I saw enough clips of the fight. It looks cool enough. I'm good, and I moved on. It's like I feel like I would enjoy a little bit, but I don't know if I really enjoy it as much as I would want to versus like more modern anime. But
right, yeah,
this Legend of Dragon Ball Tale, I thoroughly enjoyed. The art style was pretty cool. It was more like a hand drawn type of animation art style, and it was really nice. But what I liked about it is that they're telling their own story. And at first it seems like, okay, we're on Planet Vegeta, and I'm not gonna go too deep. Some people see it, but you see Vegeta's leaving Planet Vegeta. His dad is no longer the king. Vegeta is the king of all Saiyans. We're gonna start there. And I was like, okay, didn't expect that. We're actually here. So I'm thinking this is supposed to be like in the future. But then you see Goku fighting Chi-Chi at the World Tournament. Like when she's like the whole "you don't remember me, you said you would marry me" point of the timeline or the show.
Okay,
that's where this is happening. So I'm like, wait.
So it's like super young, like late teenage Goku.
Right.
Right in the middle of the Dragon Ball series.
Right. That's technically Dragon Ball.
Right.
Like
right in the middle of the Dragon Ball series. Yeah.
So. And then you see a figure show up. He's cloaked, and when you saw Vegeta leaving, he had like a poster. So you're like, oh, maybe Vegeta's here. Is he about to like start some trouble? What's going on? Turns out that was Broly, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore because here I am seeing Goku not even being in a relationship with Chi-Chi, but I see Broly and Vegeta and blah blah blah. But the animation is really good. The transformations were mwah. It was definitely like a love letter. And abilities were a little bit different. What my guess was after you see what Goku, his transformation, because it's not just a normal Saiyan transformation that he does. It definitely felt like, because Dragon Ball, the characters already like gets inspiration from Sun Wukong or the Monkey King, with the
Journey to the West and all that.
Right, and even the Nimbus Cloud and the pole, right? So all of that stuff is there, and I feel like they took more inspiration from it and utilize it with the Saiyans a little bit. Again, I don't know everything about the Monkey King, but that's what it felt like when I watched, especially like if you watch it, you see Goku's transformation. He looks a lot more like portrayals of more modern visions I've seen of the Monkey King, even for the new game that's supposed to be coming out eventually. Just like how the fur, there's a little bit of a fur placement there and everything. I was like, I like, and he gets more primal too. Definitely starts fighting more. Like instead of like the whole King Kong transformation, it's more of a Monkey King looking transformation. He's fighting more animalistic and everything, almost like a Kyuubi Naruto for a moment. So it was
gotcha.
It was really cool, and they put.
It sounds like an interesting take.
It's funny that he says that because in GT, the transformations of Goku and Vegeta in GT are more. The Super Saiyan 4 is more like that. You know what I mean? And
that's what I really enjoyed about it, was just seeing like them taking all of that and just making like this conglomerate. But the best part is the way that they end it, and I definitely won't spoil this, but they're alluding to their wanting to be more to this project. Excuse me.
I mean, I'm sure they would want to do more.
Oh,
like it's super
but
popular.
But it's what they
just,
said. It's the last
they don't
line.
Own anything.
It's the last line that Vegeta said.
Multiverse of Dragons. Yeah.
It's the last line that Vegeta said though that gets me. So I'm like, with who? I don't know if anybody have you seen it already, Fat Stacks?
No, I've seen only bits and pieces like on the internet here and there, like
little clips.
Because I've watched every bit of every Dragon Ball series, so it would always be interesting to see what happens during certain events. Like they did that right in the middle of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of events that you like, oh man, what was going on while this was going on type deal. So there's a lot of room to actually plug in a lot of different characters, a lot of different events with, with the original series and everything that, everybody's already seen. So to see like fan favorites do like, man, what if this happened? Or what if that happened with this and that? I mean, that's a whole nother leg of God knows what that they can show on the back end of that.
Right.
So
and with the last line that Vegeta says when he's like, Kakarot, you have to come with me, and he asks why. That last thing that he says, I'm already like, this is about to be insane if they're just about to start pulling all these characters in from the entire series for what Vegeta referred to. And then at the end, after beating Broly, after that ends, that last line, stay on the video for a little bit longer because there's one more little, almost like an after credit scene. It's not really after credits, it's just right after, but just don't end it when it looks like they show like this is the end. And they show this little moment. Broly, like especially OG Broly, and he was.
Actually, are you gonna tell us the moment? Or you gonna let us watch?
I'm not gonna tell it. I'm just gonna say, you know how? Listen, hold on. You know how OG Broly in the OG movie, it was obsessed with just Kakarot, right? Like that was his main thing. He's like, I want Kakarot dead. He cried too loud next to me as a baby. I hate this man. But like that was his main, like literally, if I remember, it's been so long since I've seen, but he literally just his only line was basically Kakarot for like a whole movie. If that wasn't the first one, it was like the Bio Broly movie. All he said was Kakarot.
Yeah,
because he's just obsessed. He says something as soon as he doesn't say Kakarot's name and says another. It just felt so menacing, and the animation that they did for it was so clean. That's all I'm saying for that. So just hearing him like sound like, oh no, I need somebody else dead for once was like so scary to me because my childhood was like, not Goku, not Kakarot. So that's it. But the other project was the Legend of Zelda open beta. I don't know if you know about that one, Casey, the open beta.
Is that the multiplayer thing that you showed me a while back?
No. The Legend of Zelda open beta is a group of people who basically took all of the beta data that was in an original in the original Legend of Zelda, basically stuff that Nintendo assets that they didn't use and that are still in the cartridge versus even just early videos or screenshots that officially Nintendo put out saying, oh yeah, here's some screenshots for our new upcoming game, but we never saw it in the game anyway. So like just things they decided to stop using. And so the Legend of Zelda open beta is them taking all the assets that were still in the game, assets that were going to be in the game based off of official released screenshots, and like urban myths that we as kids came up with for Legend of Zelda, and they incorporated all of that by basically injecting it into the game using a tool-assisted speedrun bot to like kind of crack open the game and get it in there, and they created a plot based around both assets that were left in the game but never used, and rumors, and recreated like stuff from screenshots that were ended up never putting in the game, and made this whole plot around it. And when I say that, when I looked at it, I was like, if this was in this game as a child, like it's already like top tier for me. People call it a masterpiece. If it was like how they made it with all of these like legends and you can actually get the Triforce if you do this and that, this game would have been even more legendary to me, Casey. It was beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah, Lampy says SGDQ, the speedrunning event that happens every year or so says they did that for Ocarina of Time recently.
Correct. Yes, they did that just this past week.
Don't tell Nintendo.
But it was this one. I cannot spoil anything. Anyone who likes the Legend of Zelda series, especially like Ocarina of Time, if you have the time, take the time to watch through it.
So is it a playable thing, or is it like a recorded thing? Like they show you everything they put in it.
Playable.
So it is like a playable thing.
It's a playable thing, and it's just this part for it's now also part of the speedrunning community. And now it's called, because you know how there's the 100%, the any percent when you like speed run something. This is now called the Triforce percent, because this is the only way that you can get the Triforce in an actual Legend of Zelda playthrough. Because in this you can ultimately get the Triforce, because that's the urban myth that people say, oh yeah, you can get the Triforce in Ocarina of Time. You just have to do this and that, blah blah blah. So like getting Mew underneath the truck in Pokemon Red and Blue, like that's basically what they did. So they took all those things together and made like this conglomerate of stuff that we've seen that never got used and everything like that, and just made this whole plot line, quest line, everything, and it was really beautiful. I loved it. And then ultimately the ending, which was like a big love you letter to the fans, not even like to just the developers, but just to the fans. It was really good. I enjoyed it. If you like Legend of Zelda, watch that. That's all I got.
All right, yeah, that sounds interesting. I keep missing a lot of the SGDQ stuff because there's like really cool runs that I hear about after the fact. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna go back and try to check out some of that stuff.
Lampy sent it to you already.
Oh, he sent it to me. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. It's already in there.
Making this man lazy. You don't have to go and do nothing. Use that search.
No, I mean, I'm gonna forget. So definitely send me the links to all the things, because I will absolutely forget because I get tied up on something else.
That is true.
But anyway, if that does it for Ash, I'll go real quick because I really don't have that much. I've not really been playing any other games other than Sunbreak. That's pretty much it. Beat the main story of the DLC, and then like, as all Monster Hunters do, like there's an entirely secondary plot after the fact where they're introducing, like different kinds of monsters, whatever. So like, there's new special monsters that what I think is really cool is that you get the new parts for this special variant, but you also get the old parts for like if you were to fight like just a regular Master Rank version now. So instead of having like keep going back and forth, you can be like, all right, well, I still want to get this weapon, these weapons parts so that I can get up to like the new version.
Right.
You can just fight this monster and get both.
Instead of having to go
that's
back
actually really
and
cool.
fight the older version.
Right. So I was really excited about that. I was like, oh, nice. Like it's actually taking into consideration some of my time, because I'm spending a lot of time trying to go back and grind the same monsters, whatever. But I'm still trying to experiment with more weapons, because like I've been obsessed with just how fun every single weapon class that I've been using has been with all the new switch skills that they've added. So like now I'm like, all right, let me use a weapon that I've never used, so I can kind of get used to, more stuff. Because like I'll watch videos of like other people doing news and updates and stuff, and like all the other weapon combos also look just as crazy and fun as the ones that I'm using. So like I'm really excited to like start and try. I want to start messing with the gun lance, because that looks crazy. Like and I think this was in the base game, but I just never used the gun lance. But it has an ability where you basically like rocket in the opposite direction of your lance. Like it just shoots you like 3 times, and you can like travel a really far distance with this freaking weapon. And then the hammer looks really fun now too. Like I'm pretty sure it was always fun, but it's got some combos and some super dramatic like silkbind moves that just look off the wall. So like I'm working on getting some parts so I can build like a decent hammer and start taking that on some monsters. But that's pretty much it in terms of games. I have been finishing up a bunch of series. Like Jeff, I finished Stranger Things. I thought the finale was good. It's definitely left a better taste in my mouth than like some of the stuff just before it. But overall, I was enjoying the series, and I can't wait for season 5. Though I'm happy that that's going to wrap it up, because I feel like if they do go any further, like this story is just going to drop off a cliff.
Yeah, and
like they're getting close to it.
Yeah, that's what usually happens. You're going too long, then you start going a little too mild. So.
Yeah, so I'm glad the next season will be the final one. We already talked about The Boys on Jeff's show, so definitely check out that discussion if you missed it. And we'll probably talk more about that later in the future as well, like now that the finale is out. But I picked back up Raised by Wolves, which is that HBO Max series from Ridley Scott. Like the first season is straight up bonkers, but it's a really good sci-fi story. And honestly, it's a sci-fi story that deals with like religion in a very strong way, because like the two competing factors in this sci-fi universe is this super fundamentalist religious group called the Mithraic, and then like hardcore atheists who are against everything the Mithraic are about because they find it, problematic, like the way they do their religion. But it's like you get both sides of these group stories. Like they're in a war that basically destroyed the planet, and now they had to leave the planet and find a new planet to live on. And that's where the Raised by Wolves story takes place, is on this new planet after that big ass war, because two androids who were built by the Mithraic were recommissioned by atheists to go and raise a new generation of humans on a colony planet, like away from all the BS. And so you see like the leftover nonsense of that war trickling onto this planet where this other thing was taking place. And that's a really cool ass concept to me. But there's so much just straight up bizarre, like spacey heads, like just really strange, like philosophical stuff going on at the same time. So like I could definitely see why some people would maybe bounce off of it, because it gets really weird. Like I don't want to spoil anything, but the show gets really weird. But the second season, it ended with kind of like a big revelation, tons of brand new characters and whatnot, which is like, how did all this happen? And like I really could have benefited from sitting down and watching like a big recap, because I'm watching this first episode and I'm like I'm like pretty lost in a lot of places. Like I'm remembering things from here and there. I'm like, oh, okay, so this was happening there, this was happening there. But like they got to know how bonkers their story is, and they got to catch you up in a better way when they jump back into that.
Yeah, like a recap before or something.
Yeah. Or at a very least, like just kind of. Well, I mean, I guess since we do have the option to just rewatch stuff, like I guess that's available to you. Like if you're just watching it straight from the first episode all the way into the second season.
So I have a question for you, right? So you just said that. What about shows that introduce characters like that, right? Let's say you're watching again, you don't remember who this character is. With technology, how almost everything is interactive now. What if there was like a thing you could press to get the some info on that character, you know what I'm saying, without having to go back? Let's say you go and select something and it info on that character and tells you, what happened with them in the past, like Cliff Notes.
That would actually be super useful for like a lot of shows nowadays, like even shows that aren't in like kind of the nerd culture. Like
you heard it here first, like
catch me up on what's going on in like the characters in Succession, for example, like because there's a lot. That's actually super useful. Amazon has the closest, but that's about like IMDb stuff. Like that just tells you who the actor is and maybe what else they've been in.
Oh, okay. See, but I'm talking about like history in that show. So like,
like just
let's say I didn't know
who
the plot. It always goes back to One Piece. I didn't know who Oda was. You click on it, even though they talked about him before, it tells you what they've mentioned up until now. Nothing obviously in the future, but Cliff Notes on stuff you should know up until now.
Right. Yeah, that would definitely be useful. That sounds like a lot of work, though, so I can imagine why it's not a thing.
You heard it here first, though. I'm going to get a patent on
it. Go ahead. Do it. I would use it. Lampy says, what's your master rank, though, Casey? My master rank right now, I want to say, is 15, the last I saw.
Oh, that's it?
I mean, they do the thing where they lock you.
Yeah. Until you do.
Like, because I just unlocked from 10, so that it showed me that I was at 15. So like my next goal is to get it to 20, I think. I don't think Cliff Notes for One Piece would fit on the phone screen, says Lampy.
That's probably true.
But yeah, the last thing that I finished up was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay.
I gotta say, the show is fine. Like it's okay. Like they do fill in like that little bit of space that exists between the last, like the Clone Wars stuff,
or
I should say Revenge of the Sith,
right.
And then
Order 66,
A New Hope. Yeah, exactly. But that last episode was boring, man.
You thought the last episode was boring?
I thought it was boring. Maybe I was just tired, but like I thought the fight between like that final showdown between Vader and Obi-Wan was also kind of like not as epic as I would have wanted. Like honestly, I feel like the fight in Revenge of the Sith was better.
I don't agree. I feel like that last fight to me was what set it for me. Like that episode was okay, but that fight is what made it, what took it from like a 7 to like a 9 to me as far as that fight. That was such a really good fight, yeah, to me, in my eyes. I'm just a boy.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't know what it was. Like I was very tired. I'll say that much. I was starting to fall asleep. like after the stuff with the actual fight and then like having that showdown. There's a lot of episode left. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like it was really just kind of cheap fan servicey stuff.
It was,
after that.
yeah,
It's like we're just gonna show you, young Luke. We're gonna show you, Obi-Wan basically hinting at the future. We're gonna show you a fan favorite character from the past, whatever. Like none of it was compelling. It was like it was supposed to be payoff for you being in love with the series already,
right?
And like it wasn't telling me any new story or interesting information or whatever. So like I was struggling to keep my eyes open and finish that up. But overall, I did like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like I thought it was a decent story.
Right. That fight, like I said, was set it apart. It just the rest of the episode was just there. That fight was that episode was the culmination of all the previous episodes would have led up to. Maybe that should have been at the end of it. I don't know, but that's kind of what it was like. Everything after that was just okay, end credit scene for the most part.
Right, but now after watching the finale of that story, like. They shouldn't do it. What is he gonna do?
I don't think so either.
Like, there's nothing for him to do unless you make up a bunch of new problems and situations and stuff that you're at that point very much just trying to squeeze in before other stuff takes place. Like, don't do that. Don't bother.
Yeah, because that time period is so constrained, especially now since you created this story. Now, I do know that they like made it specific. I don't know if they specifically made it so that way Cal Kestis. This second game is supposed to take place during the same time as the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I don't know if they're going to do anything with that because the first game is 5 years after Order 66. The second game is 5 more years after that, which puts it 10 years after Order 66, which is around the same time of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I don't know if they're trying to do something because I know a bunch of people are calling for like a live action Cal Kestis to show up somewhere at some point. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I know people want it.
I don't think, like, I like that Cal Kestis is from, if anyone who doesn't know, from the Jedi Fallen Order game. Like, that's where his realm exists. Like, I like that story takes place around that time period. That story itself is not that interesting. Like, so don't shoehorn him into something else. What they should do, and I'm not, the biggest Star Wars fan, but what they should do is just tell a different story in that time period. Like, because apparently there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of Inquisitors. There's a lot of runaway Jedi. You could tell smaller stories that don't touch anything else that still take place in that time window when the Jedi are on the run. They're being hunted. Like, you can do that. Like, that's kind of what Fallen Order was supposed to be about, except they tried to tie it into something bigger. Mm-hmm. And then because they literally can't interfere with anything else, that game ends with them literally doing nothing with this big thing that they went after. So like that ultimately made it feel like it landed with like a wet thud at the end of that story for me, because like it doesn't matter what they were doing. But like, yeah, make a story that matters to those characters elsewhere. Like make the stakes smaller and interesting enough, but it still takes place in the Star Wars universe.
Well,
like,
have
some Jedi Padawan who isn't related to anybody.
They have a spinoff coming. What's the dude who played the new Dumbledore? Oh my God, what's his name?
Not Heath Ledger.
No,
Jude Law.
Jude Law. He's gonna be in the spinoff, and it's supposed to be like kind of like a Goonies type Star Wars story, where it's telling like a coming of age story with like some kids or something. They didn't get into more specifics besides that. But it's supposed to star Jude Law and it's supposed to take place around the same time of like Order 66.
Okay. I mean,
Ted Mad Mikkelsen. No, that was he was
Mikkelsen was he was the big bad in that series. But that pretty much does it for me. Fast Axe, anything you want to share before we get into our topics?
Shoot, mine's real short. I just been. Let me see what came out. Black Summoner just came out not too long ago. Another anime on Crunchyroll. Last Summoner, waiting on. I don't remember if that episode showed up yet.
There's a Black Summoner and there's a Last Summoner. Those are two different shows.
Two different anime. Yeah. and they're both. And of course, the Black Summoner is one of those. Well, reincarnated. I've been reincarnated into this world and yada yada yada.
It's an isekai.
So yeah, so there's been quite a few of those this last year, like a lot of isekai being dropped.
Yeah, like it's not slowing down.
So, I'm like, okay. But I'm looking forward to watching Dr. Stone sometime this evening, that special episode. So
I've not been keeping up with, like, I've not started that show yet. Like, I keep hearing stuff about it.
Dr. Stone is pretty funny. It's all about science and how science.
Right, like I've heard it described as like anime Breaking Bad.
Pretty
like
much, yeah, exactly.
Science stuff.
Yep. And to be fair, it's nothing extravagant. Like some of certain things that he does talk about is actually dead on when it comes to science, when they create certain things. So it's not like it's like way out in left field when it comes to certain. No, some of that is actually like when they built the hydro dam, you know what I mean, for electricity. What else did he create? Well, I would say the insulin part is kind of a stretch per se. When they were coming up with the drug for old girl, but like there are certain things in the show though that's pretty interesting. Like when they make glass, you know what I mean?
The glass episode.
Yeah, the glass episode was pretty interesting. You know what I mean? So it's not bad. And I've just been on blessed. I'm trying to. And when you talk about grind, oh my goodness. So that's
the grind is real. That's half the fun, honestly. Like that's what keeps you playing the game sometimes, is just grinding for something in particular that you really, really want.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to get a gem from a particular monster right now. It's a 1% drop chance.
Right.
Ooh, yeah, that's rough.
Like that's stupid. But I'm gonna keep trying to fight that monster though.
I might be one of the unluckiest drop people ever. I think, remember Destiny 1 where I think you got the Galahorn like the first week or some crap like that.
And yeah, like just like before we knew that the Galahorn was the Galahorn.
That thing just did not want to drop for me from nothing. I think eventually I finally bought it from Zur, but it's like, some things drop for certain people easily, other things just don't, And when it's like a 0.5% chance of dropping or something, just forget about it.
But on that note, we will move on to we'll try to keep this topic a little shorter, so we can get to some of the more meaty ones. But God of War has finally released its release date. It's released to us the date that it will release. So November 9th of this year. Some folks were expecting another delay and whatnot, but they're gonna have it drop in the holiday season for Sony. That's a big title in the holiday season for them, which they were lacking prior to that. And a lot of other companies have kind of moved all their stuff out. Starfield, for example, had the 11th, and that was kicked out because it needs more time. So are any of you guys excited for God of War? Are you planning to buy it when it releases this holiday season? Or, is it kind of like the sort of thing that you can wait on?
I'm going to go first because mine will be quick. So I don't want booze in the chat. I don't want to see any ban ashes. I started God of War on PS4. I beat the first quote-unquote boss, at your house. I got a little bit further than that, and then I just couldn't keep playing, not because it was boring. I forget what happened. I recently, and by recently I mean like 3 months ago, bought it on PC, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get on PC. I'm going to play it on my PC. I'm going to beat it on my PC so I can actually be ready for the sequel, because I do want, from what I can play the game looked very well designed, very well made. I want to play it. So I was like, let me actually beat it before it comes out. The sequel comes out, the second game. And I'm exactly where I was before. And I still need to beat it. So.
Oh, man.
But all I'm going to say from mine for it, I am excited just because this one also looks really good. I am also excited because it comes out on November 9th, which is close to, but not on, and also after my wife's birthday, so that doesn't have to interfere with me trying to play it, because let it come out on my wife's birthday, I'm just gonna have to, miss.
You might as well not even download it yet.
Right? No, there's no point. That's the purpose. So I was like, okay, that's almost a week after her birthday. You know what I'm saying? And by then, as long as I make sure whatever we got planned for her birthday, when I decide to play it this year, I do on her birthday or before the 9th. I'm good. I got time to make it.
Right.
So I'm gonna call off. I'm gonna take off of work right now. I'm putting it in as we speak because you just reminded me, so I'm gonna do that. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say.
No, that's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, like unlike most of the other Sony first party like third person action adventure games, I feel like God of War is an actual video game. Like
less
Uncharted.
cinematic, less cinematic.
Exactly like Uncharted. What's the other one? Horizon. Well, Horizon Zero Dawn does have a lot of gameplay, but I find the gameplay to be kind of repetitive and tedious. But Last of Us as well. Yeah, like really good story, but gameplay is very mediocre in my mind. God of War fixes that. They tell a fantastic story, and his gameplay is actually super engaging. Like the combat in that game feels really, really good, and it has like smart puzzle design, and like it's all tied well with like the theming of the worlds and stuff. So I'm actually excited for the sequel because I can't imagine that they'll drop the ball and make it worse than the first one. The first one was really, really good out of the gate with this reimagining. So like I expect like big things out of that. But I will say the other part of this news was Forspoken, which is the Square Enix kind of fantasy action adventure thing that has like that kind of isekai character, like she's from like you know our times and she gets sent to this fantasy world, whatever. That got pushed into January, and the way Square Enix wrote about it, they said they talked with their partners and whatnot. It sounded like because God of War was going to take this November window, they wanted to get out of the way, like they were told to get out of the way.
Move out the way. Don't do that. That's not what you want to do.
But people on the internet, like people who know, like people from the company on the internet, say like, no, it doesn't work that way. Blah blah blah. I'm still inclined to believe that they wanted to get out of its way.
It's a smart move. It's not the same, but it's close in genre, kind of like some of the same stuff. And also, it's God of War. You don't want to, unless you're like a completely separate, established franchise. You don't want to be coming around that same month, actually.
Yeah,
the thing is,
look what happened to Elden Ring.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, look what happened to Elden Ring and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Right.
Yeah, people forget about Horizon Zero Dawn as soon as Elden Ring launched. So, but that's why that could happen. I want to say because Square Enix is a third-party publisher, but for whatever reason, they love staying exclusive to PlayStation. Like they wouldn't have this issue if this was a multi-platform release.
Exactly, that's very true. Yep.
Then they wouldn't have to compete with the other big,
Sony property,
single platform Sony thing. But I mean, they're claiming that they need more time for polish. They said the game is, feature complete and whatnot. They just got to polish it up. I mean, what else are you gonna do when you got to wait several months because another game bumps you?
Right.
So they might as well polish. So I mean, I am looking forward to that game, though we haven't seen enough of it to really see like what the moment to moment is. But like, I think it looks cool from what they've shown so far. So I just want them to prove that it's actually like a functional video game.
I mean, it's starring a black woman from New York. You know what I'm saying? I want to get an isekai moment. That just sounds like a good time. I was excited just when they showed that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Respect.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts on the God of War release? The release date?
I'm surprised. I didn't think it was that close. I thought maybe like next year spring or something. But early this year, I mean, this holiday season is pretty much upon us. It was a lot earlier than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Looks really good. I'm excited for it. I don't know if I'll play it like the first week. Because I think Overwatch 2 comes out October 4th, October 9th. So
yeah, I'm interested in that. In Overwatch.
Well, you know what? You don't gotta pay for Overwatch. I just remember.
That's true. I just time. I'm paying with time mostly. Just having the time. Do I buy God of War and just leave it sitting? You know what I'm saying? And then when I get to it, I'll get to it. But I played the first one, didn't finish the first one, still haven't had the time. But
it's good. It's not just me.
I thought it was really good. I love the combat with the axe, the shield, the interaction with his son, the boss fights, the upgrades, the world in general. I know it's not open world. It's like, to me, it's like semi-open. I feel like
it's kind of hubby.
Yeah,
I'll say.
So I wouldn't be mind if they opened it up
travel between
more.
A bunch of different sections.
I wouldn't be mind if they opened it up more. That would be pretty cool. But I thought it was very good. I think the best thing about it was the combat and how much detail they paid to it. So
Yeah, like it looked great and it felt great.
Right. Like
to use
having
all
that axe
this
was
stuff in his
just,
kit.
oh my god, like throwing it and coming back, like it all just felt, it felt good. It felt good.
I purposely put the axe away just to punch people with my hands. It just felt really
Because that also feels good.
Like without going into Spartan rage mode or anything. It's like no, I just want to give them these hands real quick, and that felt good. Like fighting the one dude who was like immortal or whatever. I didn't want to use my axe because he was talking. Yeah, he was talking mad trash. I was like, you gonna catch these hands? That's what you need is these hands.
Balder also was a little guy. He was a little guy, so he had that complex too. He was like, he's like, I could take everybody. What you looking at? Come here. So also them going into that story more too, because it's like the more the story went on, the more complex it started to get. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the more like, oh,
like it continues
okay.
like it starts off pretty interesting because you do know the history of this character and like he's trying to suppress anger and whatnot, and like you're slowly trying to learn, well, what has he been up to since we last saw him, like in the old version of the God of War series. So like they're dealing out those little tidbits, and at the same time a new story with a new pantheon of gods is being like drip fed to you.
Right.
So like I really love the transition of like the old Kratos lineage mixing with the new Kratos and his son's story, and then now kind of extrapolating into like, all right, well, look at this new world and what you have to deal with. Like it's really fantastically done. Like I'm a big fan of that.
Right.
That re-envisioned God of War game.
Yeah, I thought it was really good, especially with just being a father, that father-son dynamic, like seeing how that unfolds. Like I love how they did that. And I'm a big fan of Norse mythology, so it being set around that time made it add that much more to it. Like I know, not Kiba, Ash played Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I played that, so like being in that world just adds so much more to it. So I think probably one of my top 3 is like Egyptian, Norse mythology,
like pantheons.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then obviously Greek mythology. So anytime something set in those worlds is just so compelling.
So I'm glad you brought up Valhalla. Someone in chat also just brought it up. Koenig Loves All says it's up there with Valhalla. If I had to pick one of the newer Assassin's Creed to play, Origins, which takes place in Egypt, and Valhalla, which takes place in like Greece, which should I play through? For you,
I would say.
For me,
I would say Origins.
Why Origins?
With Bayek, just because I feel like you
would. That is the one I was leaning towards.
Yeah, I played that game from start to finish. I mean, every DLC, all the side quests, every part of that game I did. I have not done that with any other Assassin's Creed before or after it. So the combat was very good. The character was very good. Bayek, and just being in Egypt, I felt good. And the way that they captured Egypt, because they actually like surveyed the lands and stuff like that. They tried to get as close to historically as possible.
Ubisoft does always try to do that. I always appreciate that.
Right. And I feel like Bayek's story was very personal, very real. He wanted revenge for his person. I don't want to give any information. So he wanted revenge, And this is like the very beginning of not only the Assassins, but also the Templars and their origins and how all that came to be about. So,
okay.
And even his wife in the story, she's also very good. Like and they're touching on like historical figures from Egyptian history. So it's definitely, and then my favorite part was the battle of the gods, because it's kind of like mini like little like solo raids where you fight these bosses and they drop like special items and stuff like that. Like you fight like Anubis, you fight like Sobek, like you fight all these different gods. Like each one, like Anubis, I'd be fighting him, is a big version of him. He's sending out like zombies and stuff like that to explode and stuff like that. And then they would have like community events. So if a certain amount of people beat him a certain amount of times, the community would get awarded like a weapon or something like that. So it was very, very good. And the DLC was
okay.
Better, if not equal to the original game.
Some folks in chat saying, Lampy says Origins is super grindy though, and they really push pay to win in Origins.
That's all of them, but you can ignore that. They all have that store where you go buy Helix points and go buy legendary weapons or whatever it is, but they're never as good as the stuff you could actually find in the game. It just kind of, if you want a heads up, you can go buy some stuff to get you started before you go into it. They've kind of added that to all of them, starting with Origins.
I want to throw something.
All right, you convinced me.
Wait, before he convinces you too much, I want to throw something in there. I promise I won't keep this long. One quick caveat, and you'll probably still pick Origins between these two, but just want to throw these in. If you care more about the origins of the Assassins, then yeah, Origins. If you care more about the origins of the Templars, then technically Odyssey, which takes place before Origins and blah, blah, blah. If you also care more about like that naval battle aspect, which I know we will go into Skull and Bones later, but if you care more about the naval battle aspect, that's much more in Odyssey than you'll see in Origins. Also, but one that's for me, if you care about how much time it takes to do all of this stuff, pick Origins. Please pick Origins.
Okay, that is a big factor. I don't
Odyssey is
the most time.
Is a lot more time investment required. And like you're saying, DLC for both are actually pretty good. And last stipulation that I'll throw in, Odyssey had this one DLC called The First Blade. That was really, really good. And as you can tell from the name of it, the first blade as in the first hidden blade, which isn't even talked about in like Origins per se. Like you don't see that moment. So to see like the first guy who's like, this is the hidden blade, I'm a stabby, and you get to meet that person was actually pretty cool too. I saw that, I was like, are you like Ezio Plus? Because Ezio has like the most clout out of all the assassins basically. And when it comes to like the people we play as, everybody loves Ezio. He got 3 games.
He's definitely the most popular.
Yeah.
I think Altair has the most clout. Like I think he gets the most respect.
Yeah.
By people or like in game? Like in real life or in game? Like in game, I think I agree. In real life,
in the game
though,
universe.
In real life, I feel like people usually gravitate towards. I gravitate towards Altair.
They're gonna default to Ezio. You're probably right.
I gravitate to Altair because I'm also Arab, so every time I can say yes,
that's fair.
Let's say it, Ibn Lahad. So, but yeah,
like I still haven't played that Freedom Cry DLC for Black Flag where you play as
Oh yeah.
I
watched a trailer for like the storyline for it. It was here's the thing, like
Nigerian assassin.
It's a good story, and it just sucks that they all meet such tragic ends. You know what I'm saying? Like Edward Kenway, Awale.
Well, I mean, it is a story about lineage. So so they do got to show you how I guess everybody finishes their story because they got to have kids and pass on the torch or whatever. But all right, we can move off of the God of War stuff. Real quick before we go into Skull and Bones, honestly, we're probably gonna shelve the E3 stuff because I feel like we can bring it up in the future at some point. Like that's like pretty far off, so it'll come back up, I'm sure. But we'll get through the Apex stuff and then Skull and Bones trailer news. But right now, Respawn, the folks behind Apex Legends. I don't know if this has been announced, but like a lot of outlets are repeating this rumor that well, it's not a rumor, like essentially a job listing has gone up that Respawn is looking for artists and devs to work on a new single player first person shooter that is set in the Apex Legends universe. And the thing is, the wording of that is so hilarious because Titanfall is a first person shooter with a single player campaign that is set in the Apex Legends universe. So this new project seems to be like, all right, we're done with Titanfall. We want to make a single player thing, but it's going to focus on kind of maybe a specific character or multiple characters from Apex Legends.
Right. Because while they've had success with the Titanfall games, Apex is most definitely that is
a much bigger success, much more recognizable. So I'm just curious, like, does this sound appealing to you guys, or would you actually prefer them to like maybe stick to Titanfall, or like Titanfall is where this sort of Titanfall is what originated all of this anyway. Like, are they kind of disrespecting it in this regard?
Well, I feel like EA already said single player games are dead. So,
all right, EA. All right, EA didn't actually say that.
But
just to clarify.
But I do think it could be interesting. But I wonder what, because there's so much hidden story behind. Like when each season comes out for Apex, there's always like hidden stories like unfolding behind it. I mean, I wouldn't be mad, but it's just also I'm curious of what it's going to involve. Like, what character from Apex Legends? If a new character, what's going to be their goal? Because isn't like that era that they're in kind of like almost like a prison that they're confined in?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what's going on in the Apex Legends story. Like like whatever that competition is, it seems like it's a blood sport, but also people don't seem to die in it. I don't understand what that is. But like, yeah, why do they participate in
Be
it?
like a Ready Player One.
Money. Yeah, is there money on the line? Is there prestige? Like,
they did show
are they
a new
on punishment? Like, I don't know.
A new character who was actually like a host for the previous season. They thought she did something or something happened. I'd seen her get locked inside of it. So I thought it might have been like a prison or something where these prisoners are forced to kind of have like a death match type situation because they locked her in thinking that the one who committed this crime and she actually wasn't or something like that. And you see them locking her in or dropping her in, and now she's forced to be involved because like the ships are kind of like them dropping the prisoners or whatever, and then they land and they got to fight. I don't know if it ever came off as kind of like a sport where these people like voluntarily jumped in for the chance to like.
But the thing is, I'm pretty sure some of the characters did volunteer to go because I feel like Lifeline, part of her story was she's from. I might be messing this up, but she's like from like a rich family or something, and like she's a doctor, and so she wanted to join into Apex to like test her like field medic abilities or something.
That's a weird one, but
right.
But I could be wrong.
It'd be like
odd motivation.
It'd be like the anime Dead Man Wonderland. I don't know if y'all have seen Dead Man Wonderland.
I've not started it.
And look, Dead Man Wonderland, I think is one of the underrated anime if you haven't seen it. It's kind of bloody, but the premise when you're talking about how Apex is like, Dead Man Wonderland kind of did that in the series.
That makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of crossover between like video game stuff and anime stuff, I'm sure.
But I don't know. I mean,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like with Apex being the largest share and all these characters having all these backgrounds, I don't know why would you want to make a first person shooter out of it
I mean, yeah, that it does seem odd, right? Like the thing that was the most like, first of all, like the Titanfall as a series started out as a multiplayer thing. Like the first game had its single player story kind of play out in like radio messages while you did multiplayer matches. And then because people didn't necessarily like that, they put in a full campaign in the second one, and people love the campaign, but I don't think the game sold super well. Like Titanfall 2 is kind of a cult hit, but like commercially, I don't think it did super great. But then Apex just happened to be set in that universe. They kind of used that to build a battle royale thing, and that blew up into a big deal. So like, I get them wanting to use the name, but like at this point, is it them saying like, all right, well, we know we can make a good single player campaign. Like it's freaking Respawn, Infinity Ward. Like they've made all the Call of Duty single player campaigns, which, you know, changed the industry for years and years in shooters, right? Of course they can make a quality single player campaign.
Right.
But like people didn't seem to want to give them a chance.
Right.
Is this kind of them forcing it down people's throats now by saying like, oh, we'll slap Apex on it and then do another one, and that one will finally get the appeal, like the mass market appeal that we've been looking for these other titles?
Unless they just looking for a money grab just to kind of write off the success of Apex and just trying to say break, because they've had so much success, they're trying to get another break off, see if they can bring in more money with another title or something similar.
But with a single player game, like those tend not to make as much money as like these game services, right? So like I find it odd. Like I'm just curious. Like
I mean, yeah. Like what angle is it of why would they be doing that? Is like
right, yeah. I'm
like
just curious.
It's weird.
I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
It's smart to go off that because the audience that Titanfall touches isn't as wide as obviously Apex. So, you know, and then give them more of that story that people will, you know, because once again, it's a battle royale. So while they do have like character profiles and it tells you some of their motivations and stuff like that, and there's like hints of like what's the name killed Lobo's parents like stuff like that. Like this actually will give you a full-on story. Maybe this is something that they wanted to do and just haven't.
Or turn that mug into a CGI movie or something like that. Turn it into a movie.
Yeah.
Turn it into an anime series. If you're wanting to expand on it, then turn it into something where, we've always seen like they're trying to, or they did with Halo or something like that. Turn the series into, because you have so many characters, so many different storylines, so many interconnecting deals. Make it a series, a show series or something, an animated series. Yeah, like right. League of Legends did that, and it turned out pretty decent. You know what I mean? So
so that does sound like an idea, right? Like they're like, all right, so maybe they're looking to make Apex a transmedia property. Like they want it to expand out further, and maybe in order to do that, they need like a hit single player game that has like maybe more of a front to back story that folks can pull from and turn into like a TV show. Like that sounds like maybe the path to getting there. But then again, when you think of League of Legends didn't have to do that. Like, or are they just that big? Like League of Legends was still kind of this mishmash of characters. Yeah.
It's
and
huge.
they still did their TV series, which was a success without having to make like a single player thing. But they did also make a single player thing. Like they've made RPGs based on League of Legends stuff since then.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe that's just the pipeline. Maybe that's how they tell you get there. And so like they're like, oh yes, we want our characters to be you know what? At this point, this single player game might focus on maybe one or two specific characters out of their, roster, because they really want to push a face. Like who would you say is like maybe the most iconic
League of Legends
Apex Legends character?
Oh, okay.
No, Apex Legends. Like is any one character you think like more popular than the others?
I mean, out of the OG set, that's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I feel like they have rough. A nice collection, but yeah, there's no one that's like the star. So like maybe that's what this is trying to do, is like make one character more recognizable, and then maybe they can push some more, lunchboxes and TV shows.
Ooh, nice.
After they do that.
That's the point.
Well,
merch.
Right. I mean, I guess you don't really need a face. You probably need actually, you're right about that, but if you look at it as a story aspect, like you're not pushing a face, but you're trying to tighten the story so people can get more involved. Like, how, as we were saying, how did these fights come about? Why are these people choosing to get into these fights? What is the prize for each person? Or it's like how Twisted Metal back in the day where
that could be interesting. Like what, like you get to play with several characters and you finish their campaign, then you get to know, you get like a fighting game, you get to know what their ending is.
So I'm like, how, because each person's prize is different to them. You know what I mean? So, but you still need a whole story of, all right, this is Apex, this is what they're fighting for, what leads up to developing this type of game, the game as in what they're fighting for. You know what I mean? Like, if they're going to do something like that to kind of bridge the gap in that type of area, then you don't really kind of need like a face per se out of the character. But now you just kind of tightened up the story a little bit. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, if they're all part of one storyline rather than focusing on like maybe one character's history and their own personal story, then yeah, like, because that sounds just more like a fighting game. But even still, like even on a fighting game roster, you still have like your like face of the friend. Like Ryu is always going to be on the box of Street Fighter. You know what I mean? What do you mean, nah?
Ryu wasn't the face.
Who would you put on the face on the box of Street Fighter?
Oh man, later on, maybe I feel like Akuma should.
No, for any of them.
I feel like if you're talking about like the version of Street Fighter that was like in Juice that they were playing in the arcade.
Oh my god, that's such a random reference, like the Juice.
Why Juice?
I mean, they were playing. They were like, why?
They would have had Ken and Ryu's Master on the cover. I'm just saying,
all right, yeah. No one would know who that is, but okay, sure, Jeff.
Yeah. But Exo said they should have the commissioner of the games I think his name is Blisk. He said he should be in the most. He's in most of the trailers.
Yeah, I have no idea who that is.
Me neither. But he did mention the lady Mad Maggie, who was the one who they threw in the games. So it looks like some of the characters are in there for sport, for fame, for money. But like she got thrown in because she did something, or they thought she did something she wasn't supposed to do. So it's kind of like where you go in there, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna die. So, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to learn that lore, but I don't play Apex enough to know if people who do play Apex on a regular basis just have all that information, like they know all that stuff,
or do they just play Apex?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, unless you play in like the little storylines or the comic books that come out every season, and they tell you it's that and the other.
Yeah, so if maybe Respawn thinks that stuff is important because they want to build more stuff around it, then maybe that's what this single player project is for. But all right, on that note, we'll move on to our final topic now. We finally got a re-reveal of Skull and Bones, this long dormant Ubisoft franchise that we all know was a spin-off of the ship mechanics from Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah.
They turned this into like its own game. When it first showed, how long ago was the first reveal?
Man.
Like it was a while back, but when they first showed it off, it looked like just the ship combat, and like you would do like your upgrades and stuff as a ship. Folks were not really pleased with that. Like they have Assassin's Creed Black Flag in their mind. They're like, look, I want to be a pirate. Like, let me be a pirate in this pirate game.
E3 2017.
2017. Okay, so yeah.
Really, that's it? It feels longer. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's 5 years ago. That's not long enough for
you? It feels like it's been at least 7 for me. Like, that's how long it feels for me. I'll be honest.
Jeez, I'm sorry. I think 5 is a lot.
No, it is a lot.
5 is a long time ago.
It just feels longer than 5. That's the worst part.
Games usually...
Because again, they showed it the one time. There was nothing else on it since then.
I think that they dropped the ball by not having the... Here's the thing. You take Black Flag. Obviously, you're not Edward Kenway. You're whatever character you created. You can have boat naval combat. You can go like it's kind of like a Black Flag skin on top of like Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like you're just
the gameplay
you're marrying
trailer
both of those games, and then you have Skull and Bones. Yeah, so that's pretty much what you have.
It didn't show you can get off the boat. It showed like where you could hunt for like whales and fish and stuff using a harpoon. But like I'm talking about like you go to a ship and you're taking it down, and remember before you would board it once it was like almost down or whatever, like swinging through there on a ship, and you fighting the other player that's on there or whatever, or 3 players, because you can create your character, but what's the point of creating your character if they're just confined to the ship? You know what I'm saying? Like you're not really
there was an extended gameplay part.
Yeah, they released a 7-minute gameplay trailer.
Yeah,
because there was also the cinematic one, which. I mean, that kind of gives you an idea of what they're going for, but like the gameplay one is where you actually get to see kind of the moment to moment. And that one, they showed what to me looks like you can go off your ship on islands. You can walk around with your character. It looks like that's in third person, but it's like the tower in Destiny. It's like a hub area where you can see other characters. You can communicate with them probably. You can do commerce, like you can buy things, upgrade things and whatnot. But then you get back on your ship, and that's when you go back and actually play the game. But there are some sections when you're on the ship where you're in first person and you can do stuff like hunting or like harpooning like fish and stuff and like some other boat related things. But like, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's fully like, it's not like you control the character and the ship is what the character controls. It seems like you control the ship and then you have segments where you're first person as a character and you can do stuff for your ship. Because, and honestly, I feel like this is a choice. Like they want to differentiate from the Assassin's Creed series, like specifically the Black Flag game, which is why you're not just a pirate who can like parkour on walls and stuff and like fight other characters and then get on a ship. Like they want it to really be about the ship combat. So like, I can see why they're going that route, but like I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I kind of want to do more character stuff.
Right. I want to do.
So
both.
I'm wondering if I actually want to play this game then.
Right, because like the stuff that I hear people talk about Sea of Thieves is like, I shot somebody out of a cannon onto their boat and they went out in the bottom and set up the peg. While we were still fighting them on the ship, or they swam over to somebody else's ship and killed them and took it over. You know, stuff like that. Like ship battle is great, but that shouldn't be the only thing you're doing with your character. Like I don't want to hunt. Like what's the point of hunting fish and stuff? Like that's whatever. Like I want to be able to like do like Grand Theft Auto stuff and like the pirate world. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it should have kind of been.
And I think that's kind of how Sea of Thieves came about with Black Flag. Is like somebody's gonna develop it where it does turn into a whole Grand Theft Auto type of deal on water. Because if you look in the gameplays, it look like they took out a lot of the player stuff. What I mean by that is like, there was one specific part where you saw the ship and you saw like a tree. And it seemed like the harvesting was you're harvesting the tree, but you're still on the ship.
Yeah, you're still on the ship.
That makes no sense. Like you usually would get off the ship with an axe and you chop the tree down. Right. Or, you know what I mean? Or if you have a pickaxe to go mine the ore. So it's like they took out certain, you know, player deals when it comes to heart. But that's what, when you have a game like that, that's what most people want to do. Like, not only like what Casey said, you have not only the individual play of the player, but you have the ship-based combat. So I don't know if they were trying to not have certain Sea of Thieves elements in the game, you know what I mean, with that, or, you know, they're trying to differentiate themselves. Well, we're going to focus more on the ship combat, but a little bit of this, and that. But I do agree with what Jeff say. Like, eventually you're going to want a GTA type of on water type battle where you can do a complete everything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like you don't want to feel like limited
right
in your options.
It's like Red Dead meets like Sea of Thieves. Like that's the fine tune. Like ship battles, let those be detailed. Like customize your ship, put stuff on the front. Like they do that in Sea of Thieves. But also, if Sea of Thieves is just the ship battles, it wouldn't be as popular as it is. Like some of the stuff I hear people they have like MIDI like little islands you can go to that are kind of like dungeons that you go to with people. Like you can shop for loot and stuff like that. Like you can go to store. Like it's like once again, it's like Red Dead Online meets like Sea of Thieves. That's like the perfect mix because you can do other stuff. Because the ship battles are going to get boring after a while. Like having a mix of other stuff is what kind of is going to help push the game.
Well, when I think of it, it's like, okay, you make a game like Skull and Bones. Like, all right, so if you're PvPing regardless, and you have events that show up every once in a while, then just go totally in that route where players can face each other either on and off the ship. You know what I mean? Everything you do, you have a mix between either on land or in water. You can go off your ship as an individual and go in water. You know, like you can just like, why shut that end off? Like now it's just
like I have some theories as to maybe why they're going in this direction because it's funny that we're saying like, oh, everything we wish they added to Skull and Bones is kind of what Sea of Thieves is already doing. But at the same time, are any of us playing Sea of Thieves?
No,
I don't like that Sea of Thieves
because
I don't like
no, hold on.
I watch a lot of Sea of Thieves play, but I don't play it.
Like, I tried Sea of Thieves out early on because it seemed interesting, but then I was forced to play it on 2 different occasions for game night, like with the Escapist. And while it was fun playing with them because, like, you know, it's a fun group of folks to like play video games with, I did not come out of that experience wanting to play any more Sea of Thieves. Like, I don't like Sea of Thieves as a game. I thought the ship combat stuff was fun, and that's probably when I had the most fun with the game, is when we as a team were like doing the ship combat stuff. So I'm wondering if somebody else is like, yeah, Sea of Thieves is not that great of a game, so let's make the best part of the game, which was the ship combat in Assassin's Creed, and then the idea of being a pirate in Sea of Thieves, and like take out all the stuff that's not as fun and kind of double down on making the ship combat as fun as possible. Because Koenig, I believe, was saying something similar. Did I miss that comment here? Yeah, Koenig Loves All says, there's something to be said about games that do a few things very well and in depth. So like, yeah, there's a possibility that the ship combat here can be kind of its own mini game that focuses everything else around it. Like the harvesting that Fast Stacks mentioned, where you're still on a ship, or the commerce when you're on an island and like in a third person hub. Like that's all just in service of you getting back on the water in your ship. Like it might not be that bad. You might not care about being off the ship because the fun you're having is just on the ship. So like I think that might be the route that they're trying to take. But at the same time, yeah, it's got to be fun enough to hold everything else together, because that's going to be the whole game. The whole game loop is going to revolve around you being on that ship and getting into fights.
Respect.
Yeah, but a lot of people always talk about wanting to immerse themselves into multiplayer games like this. Like, how do you immerse a lot of people into a game like this?
I have an idea for that. This whole time while going over Sea of Thieves, and I keep thinking, so like, is this an MMO, or is this a game where you have like technically a single player campaign and you can go into like PvP areas? Like, which one is it really supposed to be? Have they like really gone into detail for that? Because I know they mentioned like, okay, yeah, you can do PvP. I'm wondering, can you like turn a PvP off? Can you play this single player? Does it have a story for all that, or like what is this supposed to really be at the end of the day? Because
no, that's a good question. Yeah, like, I don't know if there's like a storyline or something. Like what is the end goal that you're going for? Just, I guess, getting the best, because that's also a problem in Sea of Thieves for me personally. Sea of Thieves has a lot of like side quests and like little story missions that are in it. Mm-hmm. But like I didn't find most of that stuff entertaining. I thought it was like a lot of busy work on the ocean to like get through those. So I wonder if they'll follow similar structure.
So
no, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Festa.
No, I was just saying from the clip that I saw, all I saw was they were talking about doing little mini quests here. You have like these community events here that might show up every so often.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
a lot like Sea of Thieves.
It was like no mention of no like end game. It's just pretty much you go around, build up, you do this, you do that, you build up, you fight other people, you do the community events, rinse, repeat. That's kind of like it. From looking at the trailer and stuff.
Yeah, I think they need to. For me, what I also think would be cool and to be more immersive and also potentially fun, if they do it right, is to delve more into the MMO aspects that this game could have. So a big thing at MMOs is guilds. When you're a pirate, the big thing is fleets, especially if you're watching One Piece. The big thing is
I want to have my own crew, fam. I want to have my own crew, my Jolly Roger. You know what I'm saying?
And then if you get a fleet, you can then partner up with other full-on ships and become the most powerful pirate fleet in the game.
They do have where you can partner up with other players, but I think like you guys have your own ships. Like they can't like
it sounds like
each person has their own ship. Now, could you, let's say, have a guild? And like, so everybody under this guild has, all right, we got this ship. So if you go into PvP battles or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you have like one flag for your whole guild.
Entire fleet, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
and that's what one of the things I want is I want an actual fleet, or in normal MMO terms, I want a guild, right? I want us to all fly under that same banner.
What was like Grand Theft Auto? You had like the crews and stuff.
Yeah, have like motorcycle clubs or organizations with a CEO or whatever.
Yeah, same concept.
And Lampy's right, and that's why I was like, they'd have to like really work on doing it right, because it can really jack up the balance. Where you could be, I want to start up my own fleet, but you got into the game like a month later. Now there's already like 3 really powerful fleets. It's either you join them or your fleet will never be that strong.
It's just I thought everybody's gonna be in the same ocean. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be different instances where everybody being like different instances. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll need multiple servers. That's why I said they really had to double into that MMO thing. I also was thinking, what if, depending on how big this like overall map is, right? If anything, like for more immersion, if you could like have your own quote unquote settlements or whatever. So like for example, let's say you get to an island, and I know they do this in some. I think what was that one game where it's a recent one, the Amazon game.
The New World. The New World.
I know that people would fight over like the areas that they captured, like that would then become like, I think if I understand correctly, I didn't play it, but like that was their base. So they can hold control of a base. It's almost like, okay, this is mine. And then also add in kind of like that Valhalla raiding sequence where we could be like, all right, our fleet is about to go raid this base that they have to go take it over and make it ours. So we can have that base. And you probably get, extra bonuses for holding a base for a certain amount of time, blah, 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 that kind of deal that they usually do in MMOs, get you better resources, things that you can't just get by going around the wilderness, blah, 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 stuff like that.
So the only thing that sucks about that, though, that means that you literally have to play the game all the time.
You would.
And that is rough for some. I mean, because what you're talking about is like, man, I got to be on like almost every day. I don't want my settlement to get like no.
But that would push harder for the fleet aspect, right? Because if you have a lot of people in your fleet, somebody's going to be on. At least somebody will be on to try to.
Yeah, that's the whole organizational part of the guild, whatever.
Right.
Which Lampy makes a good point. Guilds and MMOs is really only for diehard fans. The majority of people don't do guilds in MMOs. They some folks just want to go in there and like play through some piratey action, I guess, and like they're not gonna fall in line with any of that guild stuff,
right?
Even though if it's in there, and
I just want to be able to traverse. Create, because I feel like showing that you can create a character as good as those characters look from the trailer. What's the point though? If it's just to the hub on the ship, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it's a waste of being able. Otherwise, you don't even need the hub, or you just pull your boat up.
I mean, like they didn't have that stuff.
I'm just saying
because that's what I feel like the vision for their game has nothing to do with characters, and there's people have this idea of if I'm going to be a pirate, I want to be a character.
That's
like I want to be
it wasn't just
Jack Sparrow. I want to be Luffy. I want to be Edward Kenway.
You know what I'm saying?
They want to be a character on the high seas and not just a ship engaging in like the battling part of it.
Right? Because what's the point?
But what if that's the fun part? Like Lampy brings up Blazing Sails, which is a different game we've played on game night for Escapist. That game is kind of a copycat of Sea of Thieves, but it does the thing where they take out a lot of the exploration and adventuring part to focus on the battles. Like you basically team up with like 4 other people on a ship, and then the arena is kind of like a small place. It's kind of like just death matches for pirates, right? So they just take the battle part, they take out all the dead time, and just put you in fights with other ships, and that's fun because you're doing just the ship combat part. But like again, that's not something I'm gonna keep coming back to over and over again. So there does need to be, I guess, a mix of something that's holding you. But like I don't know how.
Here's the thing:
how deep and engaging the focus of this game is gonna be. Like that still remains to be seen.
Missions in there, like maybe we got to transport these materials to the Caribbean, like stuff like that. Like I mean, like kind of like almost like heist in Grand Theft Auto. You know what I'm saying? Like. But in like the pirate world, and then like, I want to change my clothes. I can pull up to here, change my peg leg out. You know what I'm saying? Like in the eye patch, buy a pirate or 2. You know what I'm saying? You can run around with 2 pirates on your shoulder if you want. Who's to stop you? Nobody. You do what you want.
Johnny 8 parrots.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
But they do have that part because in the video they showed that you can dress a certain way. They did have like selections there for that. The whole attachments with ships and stuff they had, like, I do like the fact that you do have different classes of ships. So let's say if you do get together, like if each person had a different class of ship, it can serve a different purpose in a battle. So it's a little bit here and there.
I think my initial thoughts for it wasn't going to necessarily be even a PvP aspect at all when they first showed off Skull and Bones. My ideal was to basically have a pirate game with my friends, but it was just a fully cooperative pirate game with my friend. And having them, so think like you were first saying, Jeff, think One Piece, we're on Jolly Rock, but it's just them, me, we're all on one ship. We go out, do what we want to do. We could potentially get more ships. They can have their own ship. We still have the fleet aspect too or whatever. But I'm assuming if in my ideal, they probably wouldn't be like, you're about to have like 10 people together because it wasn't going to be a big online thing. It's more like a single player cooperative, story with expansions, always adding more stuff, and then still be able to do a bunch of stuff with your friends. Because even with the whole like fleet and like guilds made things unbalanced, I can't see this game not ending up unbalanced regardless eventually. Like if there isn't like a single player, like you turn off online. If you can't turn off online and just be able to play through a game and build up your ship, and you like start, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks after, you're gonna get destroyed. I know there's gonna be a different instance, but people are just gonna be like, weaker ship, I want stuff, I'm just gonna shoot you on sight. It's a pirate game, they're not gonna care. They're not gonna be like, oh, a fellow pirates, especially if you can't. There's not like voice chat built in. They don't care. There's gonna be like,
but I mean
there's no role.
That might be expected, honestly, because Sea of Thieves has the same problem, except there's nothing you can buy that like makes you super powerful in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get more cosmetic stuff and more access to like other content by just putting in time, but like. Just like you can't get like a super expensive like gun that like one shot someone who's brand new to the game. If you get what I mean, like it's still balanced in terms of gameplay, but like they reward you with like how you look.
Right.
Yeah.
But for this one, with the whole infamy thing that they have in it, because I remember they were saying like the more infamy you get, then you get more blueprints, and then get access to other things like the Greek fire and whatnot. So that's why I'm like, if someone decides to start, because not everybody's going to get the game at first. You might wait like a month or something. If you come in later, and now everybody else who's already been playing, they already have like Greek fire, for example, and they're just basically shooting a flamethrower at you, and you're in your literally. And they showed like there's like a starter ship.
Getting torched.
Just getting torched. Like
just straight getting torched.
No way it's lasting.
Ain't no way. Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I'm wondering if there's like or even like a new. Like how, especially in MMOs, there's like they wait until you get to a certain level before they put you in like PvP space, basically.
Yeah, like this, like the baby corner of the world,
and
like
and the only people there are other babies in the corner. So like,
I mean, it's possible there could be matchmaking as well. Like, like if you're at a certain level, like maybe you'll only
like gear
be around people of a certain level.
Yeah, like you're probably
something like
gear
that.
score for the amount of stuff that's on.
Because that is a problem.
Yeah. Like if they have a certain amount of points on your ship already, they're not going to put you with people who have a lot less points than what you have on your ship.
Or if you have, let's say, corded off areas that you could only open at certain levels. You know what I mean? Like,
I got you. You can't go to the grand line until you get.
Yeah, exactly. You can't enter in this place until your ship is right to a point or whatever level or. You know what I mean?
The waters are too fierce there. You need at least the ship to get in there.
Yep. You can't use hockey. You shouldn't even be here. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, you should.
Yeah, tell them.
But it also shows where like you can have mutiny on your ship. Like if you don't, so if you don't keep your ship's morale up on a certain way, you can actually lose your ship that way too. So,
but your ship is made up of AI, and
your ship's gonna leave you. Your ship's gonna just drive
so I
off.
don't know how that's gonna work. But
do you start from the beginning? Do you start from the beginning? Like you lost your whole ship. What resources do you have? Like what does that do for you?
Maybe you go back to whatever ship was before it. I don't know.
You got just a wooden plank.
It's us. Yes, I don't know how they built that into there. Like so, if they don't like you, and so they just throw you off, and then you got to go start from square one.
I mean, I don't. It's probably not square one. They maybe your infamy. Ooh, since it's an infamy meter, I feel like your infamy should go down because they're like you couldn't even control your own queue. Why should I be afraid
that's
of
another
you?
Thing. If there's infamy, I want wanted posters. You know what I'm saying? I want to be on a wanted poster. You know what I'm saying? Talk about
you want to check
berries?
Your berries.
Yeah, check my berries. Check my berries. You know what I'm saying?
Long story short, so go ahead.
Or hunt other people and take them out for their berries. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the ship battles, but with like aspects of like Red Dead Redemption,
like role playing and.
And that's
okay. I mean, that's what you're looking.
And that's why I agree. You should be able to attack people on land, not just on the ship. Like I want to see another captain worth a bunch of money. I'm like, wait a minute, or he shot me down in the sea just yesterday. He's right there, not paying attention. We're about to just start fighting right here in the tavern. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to turn up as a pirate.
You want like an all-encompassing pirate experience.
That's why I'm okay with it being small and contained with just like 3 other friends, single player co-op, local co-op or whatever, online co-op, but not like a full on thing. So I can have that narrative if I wanted to. But
okay, yeah, I mean, it honestly sounds like when this game was announced, a lot of people had very different ideas of what they wanted out of it.
Yeah.
Because what Skull of Bones actually is another live service game.
Oh wow!
Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like that's like it's gonna be like Sea of Thieves, or rather, it's gonna be like For Honor. It's gonna be like Rainbow Six Siege.
Isn't
like,
Ark the same way?
Ark? What, like the survival game?
Yeah. Is that?
I don't know. I don't know how Ark functions. I don't know what it is in that game that people love so much. I know nothing about Ark Survival Evolved. But yeah, like it's gonna be like a live service thing. Like they want players to spend pretty much all their time there, and they want people to spend money, and time upgrading themselves and PvPing with other people. Like that's what that loop is supposed to be. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna please a lot of the people who are being vocal about what they don't like about it. But at the same time, like Sea of Thieves is a big deal. Like a lot of people are playing that game. And if this is kind of riding on its coattails, then there's a chance that this might also be a big success, but just to that specific audience, right? So I don't know. I kind of want to see more. Like I would love to get my hands on it. Not sure when that'll be, but we'll come back to this once we get more info, I'm sure.
At the end of the day, hopefully it's just good enough to entail a sequel potentially that adds in stuff that other people wanted. If it's at least good enough to garner enough that they're like, okay, yeah, we can make a Skull and Bones 2, like a Destiny 2, and just really expand upon it or whatever. That'd be cool too. So,
see, actually, first time out, brand new franchise.
See, my opinion on that is like instead of doing that, just drop the DLCs and just make it like a continuous thing, or change it as the game goes.
Well, yeah, more than likely that's
I'm fine with that.
that's the trajectory it'll be on.
Hopefully,
everything's a live service game now. Assassin's Creed will be a live service game next.
Yeah,
when it next shows up. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Instead of paying for a whole nother game, be like, nah, look, man, just if we gonna pay for like a monthly, because games like that, like if you're gonna put a game out like that, right, you say, okay, you pay this much, but you get like every year you have to pay like a little amount of money to help the developers put more DLC, more this, change this. I'm all right with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just don't like put out like a whole nother game and just kind of build on if something like this though. You can't do it every game, but just something like this in particular.
Yeah.
So.
I think that is the model that they're going for here. Like I think that's exactly what they're looking for. So with that, any lingering thoughts on the Skull and Bones gameplay trailer?
I hope it's good. I barely want to pay for it, but I really want to play it at the same time. So that's all I got.
Yeah, they haven't said anything in that regard. But again, if it's a live service game, I can't imagine they're releasing that for money nowadays. Like you need as big a player base as possible so that you can then nickel and dime them with
microtransactions.
Yeah. Like there aren't too many of these left that cost money to get in.
Yeah, no.
But we don't know for sure yet.
I can imagine the amount of time you got to sink in though. That's the key.
Yeah, for all of these, every single one of these types of things, they want to be the only game that you play, and I just can't live that life. I'm sorry.
Yeah, selfish of them.
Lampy says Halo Infinite and Destiny, their live service with paid versions. Not true. Destiny was that way and then became free to play because they adapted to the new version of the model. And Halo Infinite's live service portion, which is their multiplayer suite, was free to play at launch. It's the single player that you're actually paying for because that's a single player campaign, and that's pretty much normal and standard.
I'll say I remember when Destiny 2 became free, and that's when I was like, oh, maybe I'll try it. I never got around to it, but still, maybe I'll try it one day.
I remember paying for it on the PlayStation. It played it for like 5 hours, and that was it. I mean, I bought all the DLCs and everything. This was a few years ago. It's still sitting there.
So, because the current season / DLC isn't free. Yeah, because Destiny's operating more like an MMO, like because yeah, Lampy says the base game is free to play, but it's more so time gated because I think over time whatever is like the current thing becomes free over time, and then like whatever is brand new, like yeah, you got to pay for like the new expansion or whatever. But again, Destiny and Destiny 2, like they're pioneers in this space. Like their model is probably the oldest version of this model, so like they can still get away with kind of doing more archaic stuff.
Yeah.
But even they had to change to where it's not all paid for. Like there is a free version of Destiny 2 because of the fact that every other of their big competitors are essentially free to play games.
Yeah.
So like that's what we're getting at. Like this is a brand new game.
Very much MMO related because like WoW and stuff, you pay a subscription, but any DLC isn't included in that subscription. So like you're paying $14 a month. That's just your monthly fee. If a DLC comes out, you still have to pay for the DLC.
Yeah, because even the MMOs, which are the closest thing to these newer live service game things, have adopted a sort of free to start model to try and combat that as well. Like Final Fantasy 14, I think, will let you play free for up to a certain level or something now, right? And I think World of Warcraft also did that a while back. So like, yeah, you got to pay for all the new stuff in those games, but like to get people in the door and to get like as big a base as possible, like the asking price is free.
But to be fair, Final Fantasy already had its base, because I remember when it first came out on PC, I still have the original PC disc. You actually had to pay.
Right, yeah.
Initially, when it first, before it became Realm of the Reborn, before they redid that whole deal, you actually had to pay for the game, and because they already had that player base established, and kind of everybody was wondering how and Final Fantasy Online
was just how how games worked.
Yeah, but that was like that was forever and a year ago.
That was a while ago. Whew. So yeah, so like this as a brand new entry into that world, like they'd be asking a lot, I think, if they were going to charge you up front. Like, because especially with so many of the people who have been looking forward to this still being kind of skeptical on whether or not they're going to be into it, like you got to give them the opportunity to try it without risk.
I'm also real quick trying to remember, because they mentioned DLC for Skull and Bones, and I think that make the big be what really solidifies if it was going to be following, like what model they'd be following. Because I think I'm trying to remember if they mentioned that upcoming DLC would be included, or if I'm thinking of another game where they were talking about, all the upcoming DLC will be just included for free. Obviously, if DLC is free, then they want you to pay for a base game and microtransactions. DLC is not free, then it's gonna more than likely it'll be that type of service if they don't charge you. Because
Multiverse said all their characters and stages will be free. Only thing you'll be paying for is cosmetics.
A lot of games are doing that nowadays. Like you were saying, just making it so either you just only pay for DLC, or if you're gonna pay, here's free DLC. Even surprisingly, Call of Duty has been doing that the last few games. Even before all the crap hit the fan outwardly, they've been doing a whole you bought the game, right? Here's all the free map packs and free DLC. It's just all included with you buying the game, which I was surprised about. So a lot of people have been doing that lately.
Respect.
All right, so we're gonna go real quick. Lampy points out, like Sea of Thieves, it's $39.99 if you don't have Game Pass. Yeah, Game Pass is another wrinkle in the whole free to play thing, because Sea of Thieves did launch some time back as well, before more stuff was kind of standard in this, and they kind of got around the fact that there's a cost, because Game Pass almost feels like you're not paying anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's like if it's on Game Pass, you don't see the cost because that's already absorbed in the fact that you have a big library.
Mm-hmm.
So so you think of it as free to play when it's technically not.
That's true. It's true.
So Microsoft can take as much losses as they want because they're just laughing at it. It's like, we can put as much games as we want on Game Pass, and it's not going to bother us not one bit.
Yeah, especially if they're the ones who made it. Like it just keeps the people who are already paying them monthly to keep paying them monthly. So
it's a straight write-off. Tax season.
But on that note, let's go ahead and wrap things up. Ash, where can folks catch you if they want to find your content this week?
People can catch me if I even go live. I'm hoping to go live tonight. But you can catch me at Ash Redux on Twitch. Make sure to find me on TikTok, where I will be uploading content on there as well. If you don't like TikTok, guess what? YouTube Shorts are a thing, and I know you all are on YouTube. So you can also find me at Hash Redux on YouTube, in which I'll also be putting anything that I would have put on TikTok up as a YouTube short, along with other YouTube content creation.
Nice.
Nice. Superman Jeff, where can folks find you?
Me, you can find me at Superman Jeff 12 at twitch.com. Also on YouTube. Also check out the Open Party channel if you haven't already. We got some stuff on there. Past streams from the team. And I'll be dropping the Omniverse comic discussion on there as well from the VOD. And then this week coming up, I'll be doing Monday night with Destiny 2. So come check that out. And yeah, that's it.
And the Fast Stacks, where can folks find you?
Y'all see down there, you can find me on all the socials, the Fat Stacks, Twitter, IG, YouTube. So today, later on, I'm gonna try to get into Bless after I cut this yard. Cut this yard. I'm like dreading. I'm like looking outside, like, yep.
Yeah, I just did mine yesterday.
So, but yeah. Also, if you guys are into anime, check out your boy. As the name www.thefatstats.com. Blankets, figurines, backpacks, drinkware, almost anything anime you're looking for. Check out the store. Christmas and all that will be down the line. So if you guys have any requests, hit me up on any of my socials if you're looking for a particular item. And I will say this though, they are coming up with some figures and items for some of the old school anime that I used to watch. One of them in particular, because I can't say the items, but one of them is Trigun.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's gonna be big soon, based on the fact that the new series has a new look and everything, right?
So I don't know if it's gonna be based up, because I've had old stuff from Trigun. So I'm gonna assume this is why they're doing it. Maybe they might do a mix of old and new. But
okay,
like I said, I can't say what items. All I know is that, just
that's the franchise.
The franchise, yeah. So
okay. Nice, good stuff. So thanks once again to my three co-hosts this week. Great conversation. Thanks to everybody in chat. We appreciate you hanging around, adding to the discussion. For me, you can find me at SimonGears9 on Twitch and Twitter. Later today, Super Smash Sunday on the Open Party channel with Superman Jeff, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch us over there. You won't see me on The Escapist for probably the next 2 weeks. I'm still going through training and stuff over at Ubisoft right now. It's been fun so far. Friday was my first day. Lots of exciting information was relayed upon me. But nothing that has to do with this conversation, because I still don't know nothing about Sea of Thieves, Skull and Bones. So, but I don't know. Over time, maybe I'll have to not put Ubisoft news in these shows. I don't know. We'll see. But thanks again. We'll see you guys sometime next week. Peace. Well, no, we'll see you in a couple hours, but we'll see you here next week.
See y'all.
Peace.